Hey guys, Mr. Do-It-All here, and today we're checking out the KINGKONG 90. It's a micro brushless flyer, and this thing has really proven itself and not proven itself with me, and I really want to go over some things with you guys to see if y'all want to take this in consideration or some of the other ones out there that are maybe a better option or may not be a better option for you. And this is what I have in my box. I've had it for about a year now, so I have changed things to make it so everything fits in this one little box that it came with from the factory, and I'll just go over that with you. First, in the box, I have my props. You are going to go through some props, so have some extra props on standby. There's some GimFam 2035 props, and these things are really durable and just have proven themselves. There is a little bit of a clearance issue, which I will go over with later, but I love these props. I have a battery checker. You're always going to need one of those. Check your batteries, make sure, and I have 8 different batteries in here depending on what I'm doing and how long I want to fly in that various area. Here's a little quad it does come with. It is cute, isn't it, guys? And that is the box. Here is the 350 milliamp hour battery it comes with. It's pre-generic, no packaging. It comes with this extra band here just in case you break the regular band on the quad. So that is nice. It does come with a little bit of extra parts and stuff like that. Here is my GT90. Now this is a year later, so I have done a few modifications, not too many with this thing. The first thing, like I mentioned, the props. They do have very, very, very tight clearances, but it does clear, and I have not had a problem with it, you know, breaking anything on me or cutting any wires. I have the wires tucked in a lot better than the factory just because I kind of reconfigured everything and stacked it up a lot better than they kind of just throw it together from the factory, which is a shame that they kind of throw it together like this, because this is, or it does have the capabilities of being a great little quad if they just installed things properly from the factory, and that's one little thing I'll get to later. Another thing I did is I installed a XT30 connector. Most of my micro batteries have this connector. It's just easier for all my batteries to have the same connector, and I use the XT model connectors. It has a diversity antenna that I did just tape up with some zip ties and stuff, and just put the antennas up here instead of just having them like dangling down here under the battery like they do from the factory, which is a shame because you don't want to like start just slapping your battery on top of a receiver all the time and breaking the receiver. So definitely would recommend sticking it under here and putting the antennas up. Also put a little bit of heat shrink right here with another zip tie just to sturdy this up, just so it doesn't go in the props and mess anything up when I'm flying real hard or having a good day, and don't want my video cutting out on me because I just messed up my video transmitter, which would be a real shame. Speaking of the video transmitter, that is one big thing from the factory. It sucks. I mean, they could have done a lot better. I understand they had some like constraints trying to fit it in this like little package here, but I mean, it's super staticky. It's almost like the soldering isn't fully connected well or something like that. It just doesn't have the quality of some of the other 25 milliwatt transmitters I have that this thing should be putting out the same output. It does have an 800 TVL camera, which is okay. It's not the best, but it is okay for a micro flyer. While we're on the subject of the video transmitter, I do want to note that this is not the first one I do have. This is the first one they sent me from the factory. It looked stock from the factory, but it did not work. It was broken. We tried everything, trial and error. We kept going through stuff. We could not figure it out. They finally decided they were going to send me a new one. Don't worry about it, to throw it away. Well, I can't throw away any bit of this stuff because I love this stuff. So I started unsoldering everything to see if I could use it for a project later on in the future. And come to find out, as soon as I unsoldered the camera and video transmitter from this quad, the quad itself started working, just not the camera and video transmitter while it was attached, which was really weird to me. Maybe they had some sort of soldering problem when they soldered it initially from the factory, but I did end up putting a tiny whoop camera on here, throwing it and just zip tying it on and flying it for a couple of months with no problems. I did finally burn this one out when I flew it on a wet day and burned out the ESCs, being just being stupid, really, if I'm honest with myself. But that's one thing to take note. I do want to tell you, the first one I did get from the factory was not working, but they did get the quality a little bit better with the second one, because I did notice the motors are different from the first to the second one. The motor shafts are a little thicker and the windings seem to be a little bit better. So I'm guessing they have a little better quality motor control now in their factories. And also it seemed to be put together a little bit better. I didn't have a problem with it as much, and it wasn't so dangly and all the wires were not just not attached. This time it was pre-built and it was actually better. So they did step up their game. So if you get a newer one, it is going to be better than a year and a half when they first came out, because they, I guess, lacked quality control. Other than that, this thing has been a great little flyer. The ESCs on this thing, it's a 3 amp BL Heli ESC. So that's one thing to take note. It's 2-cell only. You can't do 3-cell. You'll probably burn it up. I haven't tried 3-cell on it, but everywhere I read it says do not do 3-cell, which is a super shame, because all the other ones, or at least most of them out there that do brushless micros, are 3-cell capable now, and I just think they could have beefed up the ESCs a little bit, because that is a weak point in the whole quad, because it is a tank. Other than that, the motors can take a beating. The frame is just a tank. I have not even chipped the frame, and I have ran into concrete walls, ran it at train stations and stuff like that with no problems at all. So this thing has just proven itself time and time again. Only problem I do have is the video transmitter and the camera with it. So as long as they can fix that eventually, then this thing will stay around in the market these days. One thing they could also look to add is a OCD, on-screen display. They don't have that right now, and it is a shame, because the voltage you can't really check. You have to have your voltage meter on the field, and that's really the only thing I'll use my on-screen display for, with a micro at least, is the voltage. That's the only thing I care about. So if they added that, great, but it's not like a killer for me. But, you know, one thing to look at if you're looking at another one. If you want an on-screen display, this does not have it. It did come with some stock props. Here are the props here. I don't like them. They're super breakable. And, I mean, I've had these things break while I was flying. I did bend it back and then it would break later. But the GimFam props just do not break time and time again. It does come with little prop protectors from the factory that I do want to take note. I've never bothered putting them on, but you can put them on like that. They sit there, they protect your props. The only sucky thing is if, I don't know if you can tell right there, but the brace to put these things on just crosses the camera, so it's really unusable unless you want to not run that brace, which makes them kind of flap a little bit, which kind of sucks. So that is another thing to take note. But other than that, guys, I really enjoyed this little flyer. It is a great little guy. Hopefully it's not so cold later on. I can take it outside and fly it a little bit for you guys and let you see how it flies in the end. I do use Fat Shark goggles and Spectrum radio to fly this thing, so I have not had a problem with either of those things connecting to this. It is DSM-2 capable, so it's connected right up with no problem. Haven't had any binding issues. It does have a super tiny bind button, which I can't show y'all because it's under the video transmitter, but just look at it. It's a super small silver disc. It doesn't even look like a button, but you press it and it'll bind for you. And as always, guys, please like, subscribe, and check everything out. Until next time.